All right, it is 7 o'clock, so I will call this meeting to order. Welcome to the 7 attendees who are joining us tonight in the audience. And first order of business is the pledge to the flag, so I will mute the panelists and ask everyone to join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business tonight is the minutes from our June 14th meeting. Were there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, could I have a motion that they be approved as written?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Cormos. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Next order of business is mayor comments or announcements. First of all, I want everyone to know that a draft of our Brownfield Opportunity Area application is currently available on our website for public review for the next 30 days. Any public comments should be addressed to me at Village Hall. There will be a public information session at our next meeting, which is July 12th. That will be on the agenda along with a board resolution authorizing me to sign this grant proposal. So that'll be coming up at our next meeting. Second, the steering committee for the comprehensive plan has requested a joint meeting with the board to discuss moving forward with the proposals and the process. Their suggested date is Thursday, July 8th. So I'd like to know if the board is available to meet that evening. That would be an in-person meeting at the library. Any problems with July 8th?
Works for me.
Good.
Yeah. The only July 8th, the only problem is that there's a meeting at the library, but the library board is also meeting.
Yeah, that's not a good date for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can make it, but I'm just talking about the,
Might need a different location.
yeah, because the library, yes. And, okay, and Liz is saying she can't make it, so.
No.
Well, their backup date, alternate date is Tuesday, July 13th.
I
That's,
could do that day.
that one's clear for me.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I was looking at June, and June 8th was a library board meeting. But July 13th, which is a Tuesday, is also a library board meeting. So I can make it, but I think we have to have it someplace else besides the community, you know, unless, you know, and I don't know that they can go upstairs because I think the library is open late on Tuesday.
Okay, I will work on an alternate location.
Right.
And we'll plan to meet with the steering committee on Tuesday, July 13th at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Next announcement is unfortunately really bad news on the Lowell Street pump station. We knew that one of our two main water pumps that keep our water tanks filled needed work because it's been leaking 5 to 10 gallons a minute for the last couple of weeks. We thought we could run on the other one while repairs or replacement was done to the one that we knew had problems. We brought in, there are only two local firms that both sell and service this level of equipment. We brought both of them in to take a look at the situation and to give us advice. And they both tell us that both pumps need to be replaced, that the pump that we thought was good is not sufficient to run the system without a backup. The engineer is in discussions with both, but the urgency of the situation means that we're going to need to declare an emergency. We're not going to have the time, the luxury of time to wait for an RFP to go out and bids to come in and all of that sort of stuff. So unfortunately, I'm going to bring up under other business tonight a motion to declare this an emergency and move forward with the repairs. We will still get quotes from both companies. We'll still take the best deal. We'll still follow all the procedures to the best of our ability, but we won't be putting out an RFP and waiting a month and opening bids and stuff like that.
And
Four.
Larry, what's the amount we think this might be? Do we have any ballpark or anything?
We think the pumps are going to cost around $60,000 each. So this is definitely a large expenditure, and it will require us to do some budget revisiting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I announced at our last meeting that the Dish Network was proposing a new antenna on the John Street water tank, and that I expected that to come in soon. I did refer it to both our attorney and our engineer, who identified some problems with the contract. So it's been sent back to Dish to be redone. So we won't be seeing that tonight, and probably not next meeting either. And last but not least, as I think everybody knows, this is hopefully our last meeting on Zoom. The next meeting, which is July 12th, will be in public in the meeting room in the basement at the library. We have ordered a fancy camera and microphones set up. So we hope we'll be able to set that up so that people who don't want to come to meetings in person can still view the meeting remotely, and so that we'll continue to be able to post recordings of our meetings on the website. So if those things arrive in time for us to get them set up and tested, we'll attempt to have them in place on July 12th. And as soon as I know the information about how to view remotely and stuff like that, I will post that and make it publicly available.
Larry, will that allow public comment or just watching?
I think just watching.
Okay, but people could do comment, via email or
Correct.
method, potentially. I think that's what they do in Ballston. I'm not sure, but somewhere else I saw that they accept, questions and comments.
Yep. Okay, so that's it for announcements. We'll move on to old business. And under old business, we were to discuss the Park and Tree Board proposals for Wiswall Park tonight. Trustee Cormos, would you like to give us an introduction to that proposal?
Well, it's a proposal by the Wiswall Committee, which was originally started with requests from the Rotary, because they're, interested in donating benches and potentially a pavilion to cover, the spring. And we got the spouse of one of the Rotarians is a landscape architect who donated his services and drew out a plan, which we've circulated and gotten comment on and showed the board a number of months ago. There is a desire to move with the first phase this year, which is really removing the overgrown vegetation, bushes, etc., leveling the land and getting rid of our noxious bishop's weed. Ray Otten has discussed this with the town of Milton and with Jeff, and there appears to be an opportunity to use town of Milton resources to do the majority of the work, which would mean that, our DPW wouldn't be asked to, stretch their resources to do this first phase. We did,
I recall that also included just tearing down the gazebo and tearing out the walking paths.
that was the proposal, because the walking paths are uneven, they're not ADA, compliant, et cetera. The comments of the board, this board was discussed at the last Park and Tree board meeting, and we did concur with some of the comments that said, if we're going to do this first phase, it's probably better to do it towards the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, to be less disruptive to use of the park.
And fall is the time to plant grass seeds as well. You can't plant grass in the middle of summer.
Right, and the other comments from the board is that we needed a more refined plan with itemized costs and timeline for the whole project. And although I don't think there was a vote, but there was concurrence that is what the board would like to see, and I agree that we need to know what the next step is and what the sources of funding would be. I think the expectation is that a lot of the funding could be raised through donations. The group has already received interest in donating. So I think unless Ray Otten is could comment either now or at the public session, since he's one of the key people behind this proposal. But that's more or less where we stand right now.
Well, I believe you're correct that the board is reluctant to authorize demolition of the existing facilities without knowing how much it's going to cost to replace them and where that money's coming from.
Mhm.
So is the plan to get something more complete to us at some point?
I believe so. I mean, without, Ray can comment, but I think that's really the direction that was, communicated from this board to the Park and Tree board, that we need a more refined plan with costs and timeline.
Okay, so there's really nothing we need to discuss tonight, and we'll look forward to getting that timeline and cost information at some point in the not too distant future. Thank you. Moving on to new business. Could I have a motion that the budget transfers be approved?
I'll make that motion.
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. Was that trustee Fitzpatrick?
Yes, I make that motion, yes.
Okay, motion by trustee Fitzpatrick. Is there a second?
second,
Second by trustee Raymond. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Budget transfers are approved. Could I have a motion that the Ballston Spa Lions Club be granted permission to use the village right-of-way along the fairground fence on Fairground Avenue to park cars during the 2021 Saratoga County Fair from July 22nd to 25th? Proof of insurance has been provided to the clerk. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Cormos. Any discussion? I would just note, in case anybody is not aware of this, that the Lions Club has been doing this for as long as I can remember. So this is not really out of the ordinary. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Could I have a motion that the Boy Scouts of America be granted permission to hold a Boy Scout camporee at the Saratoga County Fairgrounds from October 8th to 10th? And we will get proof of liability insurance before the permit is issued.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Cormos. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by trustee Raymond. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Could I have a motion that the Saratoga County Agricultural Society be granted permission to conduct the Saratoga County Fair from July 22nd to 25th?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Fitzpatrick. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Cormos. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Could I have a motion that the engagement letter with EFPR for accounting services for fiscal year 2022 be approved? And I would note that this is a continuation of the services they currently provide. And we're asking them to continue to provide those same services at the same cost for another year. Could I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion?
Yeah, go ahead, Liz.
Oh, I was just wondering, from our treasurer and the accounting folks, are we, satisfied with their service and?
Yes,
Yeah,
very much.
they do the reports and they help us when we need it with more trickier questions that have been coming up more recently.
So, good.
And they helped us make the transition from the old system that was not performing well to the new system that is. And they still have a great deal of expertise that we take advantage of whenever we have questions or need advice or assistance, in addition to doing the standard reports that they do. I think our dependence on them is lessening as our current treasurer learns more and more and is more and more independent. But I think we still are going to need their services for at least another year.
Okay, and as far as the system we use, where we use the admin system, is that meeting our needs? I know it can be difficult. But do we have a good handle on that system and want to keep it?
Between the last few years, it would make no sense to switch the system. It does everything plus more.
Okay,
Plus it's actually buying out a lot of the smaller systems that are out there. So they're getting better and better every day.
And we now know how to use it.
That's always good.
Yeah.
I do have a question. When I was reading it, I noticed that they said that they have been very, plus they're so involved in our day-to-day operations and preparing, reports and whatever, that they cannot be involved in any audit.
Correct.
Correct.
Right, but we were doing an audit. Have I lost the thread here? Was that all wrapped up or have we not seen the results of that yet, or is that still?
The results have been pushed off a little bit because of the delay in the Section 8 audit. The Section 8 audit just got wrapped up and they're continuing on to the fiscal year 2020 audit, as well as the 2021 combined.
And that's Heel Becker, which is a different firm with no conflict of
Right,
interest.
right, yes. I knew it had to be a different firm. And
we're gonna get two reports, 2 years worth of
2
reports.
years worth of audits. And when do you think we might have that? Just ballpark. I won't, hold you to it. Any ideas?
We should have it probably about August. We did put a deadline on this one this time to be finished up with the fiscal year, ending the end of year entries. And the AUD hopefully by the end of July. So shortly after that, they'll have a time frame of when they'll actually wrap up the audit, but it should be sometime in August.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I would just add, it is so refreshing to have a treasurer who is so well versed and can answer so many questions so skillfully. I have a ton of appreciation for
Thank you.
our treasurer.
Yeah, here. We're facing an entirely different situation than we were 2 years ago.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Pretty amazing.
Mhm.
All right, are we ready for a vote?
Yeah.
All in favor of the EFPR engagement letter, please say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. That motion carries. And could I have a motion to extend the term agreement for engineering services with the Chazan companies by 1 year through May 31st, 2022? Terms and conditions included in the professional service agreement executed by the village and Chazan dated July 8th, 2019 continue to apply.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Cormos. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Raymond. Thank you. Any discussion?
I'd just like to ask, they were acquired or merged in with a larger firm. Has there been any difference in service, either positive or negative, with that change in their organization?
I've been assured that this will have no effect on our relationship with them, other than that their letterhead will have a new line on it saying a, whatever it is, company.
So our,
Same personnel, same location, same everything. Actually, they have picked up a few extra services that they didn't have before because they're now available through their parent company.
so-
Whereas before they would have had to subcontract them out.
okay.
So if anything, it's a slightly better deal for us. Any other discussion? All in favor of extending the Chazan agreement, please say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. That brings us to the consent agenda. Is there any trustee who would like any item removed from the consent agenda before we consider it? Hearing none, could I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. That brings us to the end of new business, and it's time for trustee liaison reports. Does any trustee have a report for us tonight?
I do.
Okay,
This morning, up until this point, the village of Ballston Spa has never had any bike lanes or bike paths. And as of this morning, we have one block on Hyde Boulevard between Grove and Chapman Street with 2 bike lanes. So this is a temporary demonstration project by the pedestrian and bicycle master plan under that grant, and was installed by our 2 consulting firms, Planning for Places and VHB. And it'll be up until next Monday. It was done with tape, so it's easily removed. More importantly, on Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 at Kelly Park will be an open house about the project. There'll be a short presentation and then opportunity to look at some boards with some concepts for the village, and the opportunity to input and comment. There's also a questionnaire about the demonstration project that's should be on the website, if not shortly, where you can answer some questions and input on what you think of bike lanes on Hyde Boulevard.
thank you, trustee Cormos. Any other trustee liaison reports tonight?
Yes, I have one, if I may. Not to be outdone or not to get competitive, the library now has a new website as well as the village, and we hope people find it useful. The other thing is the library is required to do and this is through the Southern Adirondack Library System, to do a community plan about how people view the library and what they need from the library. And there is a survey out. There's a paper copy in Village Hall. I saw it there today. Thank you to Village Hall staff. There's also the pedestrian bicycle master plan reminders and bookmarks there as well. But there's also the survey it's short, and it's asking, what you want, how often you use the library, what the hours should be, and really what you think the library should look like in terms of for the community in the future. So please, it's, still applicable. I can't say that word tonight. So please complete the survey if you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Fitzpatrick. Any other liaison reports? All righty, moving on to other business. Unfortunately, I have to ask for a motion to declare a public emergency arising from an unforeseen condition affecting the health and safety of the village and requiring immediate action that cannot await competitive bidding. Could I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Trustee Fitzpatrick. So obviously this is the situation with the pump station that I've mentioned under announcements earlier in the meeting. And we'll act as quickly as possible with our engineer and the two local firms to get quotes, bids, and take care of the situation. And I'll keep you informed.
Can I ask, are both pumps currently actually operational, or is one down, or, it just,
One is leaking 5 to 10 gallons a minute,
okay.
which makes it marginal. The other is functional, but they're both over 30 years old with a life expectancy of 20 years.
Mhm.
And it's the engineers and the two firms' unanimous opinion that we can't run on one of them alone.
In other words, if you're replacing one, you can't rely on the other one
Right,
to
correct.
hold, to do the job while you're replacing the other one.
So we are exploring some other options, but it looks at this point like our best option is going to be to replace them both.
Right.
And the timing on that one would be tricky as well, but we obviously would have to work through it.
So I assume part of the proposal will be some sort of temporary pump while one is pulled out and replaced, or?
Yeah, I can't tell you until I see them, but yeah,
Okay.
that's obviously one of the issues they have to address.
Is there, do you feel there would be any need for any sort of water restrictions to reduce the demand?
Not if things go as they are supposed to. If something goes wrong, then yes. But as long as, if we can get a replacement pump in quickly while the second pump is still running, then we've got a brand new pump that can take over while we're replacing the second one. And the chances that something would go wrong with a brand new pump are much less than the chances that something would go wrong with a 30-year-old pump. Any other discussion? I'm sorry, did we have a motion and a second, Madam Clerk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the board tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. And I will ask if anyone wants to make a comment, please raise your hand and I will allow you to speak. My thing says there's a hand. Oh, there it is. Okay. Mr. Otten, you are on.
Okay, I'd ask that my comments concerning Wiswall Park not be put on a timer, being it was a subject and I wasn't brought into the discussion. I've sort of got the feeling, based on the budget this year, which was applied for anything to do with the parks with zero, I think we've sort of gotten the cart before the horse with our Parks and Tree Committee. we've put together a committee and we've come up with ideas for improvements on different things, but there's absolutely no funding involved to them. There's no way that we can redo Wiswall Park with just donations. The donations that have been offered have been for sort of ancillary type things and portions of it. You know, if we're talking a park redo, which I believe Liz put together some numbers for a grant, and it came to somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000. We're not going to get $100,000 in donations. Those of you that know me know that, you know, I live in a real world, and, you know, if nothing, I'm honest about things. And that's why I feel we've really gone with the cart before the horse with the Parks and Tree Committee. We can't have a committee to come up with ideas for improvements and then depend on donations to get it done. There has to be some buy-in from the village, some buy-in with budget. There has to be, you know, if you're going to have a committee, you're going to say, all right, you got $60,000 to work with. You got 3 parks that have things that need to be done. You got at least a portion of the budget, and we got to budget it out over the next 4 years to do these improvements. Again, you know, the Wiswall Park thing was started with the Rotary, we said, because Mr. Wiswall, who the park is named after, was our first president, and we have our 100th anniversary coming up next year, that we wanted to put a gazebo and maybe move the fountain in tribute to him. That is all that we were going to do. Obviously, we've been doing different benches throughout the village, and we were also offering to put the benches in the park. But other than that, you know, Rotary, which collects and raises money to do good for those in need, can't always be looked at, or can't be looked at to donate massive amounts of money to do any park renovations. So again, my comments on Wiswall Park are just that I think we really got the cart before the horse. We got some good folks on the committee. We got people that are experts in trees and bushes and all that good stuff. We got business folks in it. We got some real good people working on the committee, but we need something to work with. We can't just get out there and, all right, there's, you know, great ideas. We can put a roller coaster in the park, but you know, it's, if we don't have any money to work with, we can't really do what we need to do. So those are my comments on Wiswall Park.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Houghton.
All right, but I also have a topic I'd like to bring up about the Kelly Park playground that we had gotten approval on from you, Larry.
Yes.
That Community Emergency Corps is going to donate that. I'm still waiting to catch up with Jeff to get the final okay from him to order the playground that we want to put in. It's a commercial grade. It meets all the criteria for that type of an area. And in talking with the folks in our agency, we would like to do more. We'd like to maybe put up a bike rack. We might, you know, the following year, put in a little bit more into the park. We want it to be something that we can do each year. Again, we got the labor that will help us put it in. We have the donations that we've taken in as an agency that we can finance the project. I just need to get Jeff to give me the okay to go ahead and start this all. And we can have it up and running in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. So that's where that project lies.
Well, that's great. Ray, I really appreciate, and I'm sure we all really appreciate, both the Rotary Club and the Emergency Corps' commitments to the village. You've done good things for us in the past, and you're continuing to do things for us. And I agree with your comments about the money situation. We start putting our budget together in January or February each year, and we work off specific budget requests to come up with what's going to be funded for the following year. So this past year, we didn't get any budget requests from Park and Tree, probably because they were brand new at the time. But as plans develop, And as you identify projects that you would like to see some village funding for, just make sure that those requests get to me when we're working on the budget.
Yeah, I don't think we were ever advised that we needed to submit any sort of requests for budgeting when we first got together. That never came up until, well, how are we going to finance Wiswall Park?
Right.
We just
Yeah,
weren't,
well,
we weren't aware. We didn't know.
We just don't make the budget out of thin air. We
Oh,
we
absolutely,
base it on
absolutely.
the needs that people identify. So,
Okay,
all right.
now
Well,
we know.
thank you very
Thank you.
much. I see no other hands. Is that correct? Oop, I just saw another one go up. Bob Bush, you're on.
Hi, Bob Bush, 71 Church Ave. I have a few things I want to bring up. A question I have is, I brought up a question this last week, or not last, the last meeting. Have you guys found anything about the bucket of donations from Family Fun Day from a few years ago?
I think we might have, actually. Do you want me to stumble through it, Madam Treasurer, or would you like to take over?
I can reiterate it really quickly. It was put into a separate donation fund that the village had because it was the last Family Fun Day that we had was from 2018, and because it was cash donations. I'm just trying to pinpoint everything that we had at that time to make sure I can give you an accurate report of exactly where that went and how the village handled that money. But we're still working on it.
All right, thank you.
Yes, we weren't fully aware of the situation, but we knew that there was this account that existed that we didn't have full information on. And so your comment last time helped us figure out what it was and start getting to the bottom of it.
I have a couple other things I wanted to bring up. I asked this last week also about Wiswall Park getting overhaul, who's going to maintain it so it doesn't get in disrepair. And if it does get in disrepair, are we going to enforce some sort of accountability? I have one more thing after that, and I promise that's it.
Okay. As you probably know, we added 2 new positions at DPW this year. It's our goal to beef up DPW's capability of taking care of the village because over the past several years, their staffing has been cut dramatically, almost in half, and they simply have not been capable of doing all of the things that they used to do. We're trying to reverse that, and we're hoping that DPW will be much more functional moving forward into the future. So that's the plan for that.
Okay, and I want to address the need for continuous sidewalks from the village to the Wood Road and Gordon Creek campus for public access to the playground and their facilities, as well as school functions. I know the village isn't all the way up to the school, but I'm sure we can work something out with either the town of Milton or this district or something. I bring this up because about 33 years ago, I was involved in a serious accident which left me in a coma for 10 days while riding my bicycle home from what was then the Ballston Spot Middle School. At that time, the middle school students, faculty with the Wood Road Milton Terrace staff were able to walk to school without buses or cars. One thing I want to, if you want to continue, or I'm sorry, if you want to connect vital holes in sidewalks, I suggest we start on that connection rather than extending a bike path from Cookton Park to Ballston Spot. I personally know some families that live on Oak Street that are not at all happy with this project and having their quiet dead end road disrupted due to an installation of the bike path and possible parking area.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Bush. And one more hand went up during that, and so I'll recognize Donna Dardaris. You're still muted, Donna. You have to unmute yourself from your end.
Okay, I think I've done it now. Donna Dardaris, do I have to give my address? 64 Middle Street, Ballston Spa. I just want to say how much I appreciated Ray Otten's comments. I have had some concerns about Wiswell Park, and I will admit that I am both a member of Rotary and was very concerned when someone who sits on the Parks Committee told me they thought that Rotary was underwriting the entire funding for the park renovations, which I disabused them of that notion immediately. And also as a member of the BSBPA board, and know that we sponsor many, many events, community events that are in the park and that are tremendous favorites of people who reside in the village of Ballston Spa. So I would like to add to Ray's comments that in addition to having the funding issues worked out before the redesign of Wiswell Park gets too far down the road, there should also be some sort, and I know you've done this recently, of more input from the residents of the village and the business owners in downtown of what they would like to see happen in Wiswell Park before we make a decision that would dramatically change the, I guess you'd say the functionality of the park. Thank you. That was my comment.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Dardaris. Sometimes this thing does one thing and sometimes it doesn't.
Just when you're getting the real hang of it.
Yeah, well, you know, the last two people finished and I made them disappear, and now I don't have that option. So I can't seem, there it is. There we go. Now I have it. Okay. And one more hand and I'll recognize Frank Rossi.
Frank Rossi Jr., 63 Saratoga Avenue, Apartment B, also SPA 12020. Just want to back everything that Donna Dardaris just said. I think we learned the hard way almost with respect to the Front Street scenario that we need to do a better job of getting the residents and businesses takes on certain major moves, especially in the landscape of Front Street and around Front Street, et cetera, and even our parks before we jump and do something dramatic in those situations. So let's learn from what happened earlier in this summer, spring span with Front Street and get some more, I think, takes from the folks that live around that area. It's going to be a much better result, I think, at getting a buy-in from the people that are affected most by it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rossi. All right, I see no more hands. So thanks to the 4 people who made public comments tonight. We appreciate your input. And I will close the public comment section and ask for a motion that vouchers number 21-01736 to 21-02155 and 22-00013 to 22-0151 be audited and the meeting adjourned.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
I'll
No, go ahead, Liz.
second it.
Second by trustee Cormos. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried and meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your attendance, particularly the 10 people who attended as members of the audience. We appreciate your participation and we look forward to being able to see each other in public on July 12th in the basement of the library. Good night, everyone, and have a happy 4th of July weekend.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.